When I first saw the Batsheva Dance Company of Israel, I think I was 19, that first viewing of that company is the reason why I decided to be a professional dancer.
Jesse Zarit is a dancer, a choreographer, and a teacher, currently dividing his time between New York, the American Dance Festival in North Carolina, Hollins University in Virginia, and Tel Aviv.
From the very beginning, there was something about dance that was happening in Israel that inspired me, that motivated me, and I felt a connection to it. I decided to move to Israel to get involved in the dance community there in as many different ways as I could. I ended up doing all these different things in Israel and trying as much as possible to immerse myself inside what I considered to be Israeli contemporary dance. Trying to understand what is it about Israel that generates this kind of incredible productivity in contemporary dance. What's being studied there? What is it like to live there? Why do I keep coming into contact with this choreography coming out of Israel that blows me away? Blows me away as an artist, but also somehow I'm connecting to it as a Jew. But there's something also about my affiliation, the way that I affiliate as a Jew, and how that identification leads me to Israel, and how in Israel that the point where I seem to belong the most is inside the dance community. Somehow this place where all parts of me get to be together. While I was still living in Israel, we started talking about this idea of sacrifice. Basmat Hazan, the director that I'm working with, and she brought me several texts that she was interested in. The descriptions of what happens on Yom Kippur, how the scapegoat is led through the community, the kind of thread that's attached before it's driven off the cliff. And thinking about how Jewish culture has moved from animal sacrifice to prayer, and what that passage has been about, both historically but also on a kind of spiritual level or theological level. We started looking at Akedat Yitzchak, and for me what was interesting about that story, it's a violent story, it's also a very tender story in a way. There's care inside it. So there's violence and vulnerability and tenderness and aggression and abandonment and maybe defiance. It's possible to imagine all these different feelings and energies existing in the same moment. And so I started to think about movement that had a kind of multidimensionality to it. My choreography doesn't enact or evidence a connection to place. It's not about being from America. It's not an American folk dance in that way. It's not an Israeli dance. It's not about claiming an identity to a specific land. It more reflects how I feel about the way that I live in the world, which is sort of hypermobile. I find myself above the ground as much as I'm on the ground. Always traveling, always trying to be the connector between different communities. If it's between my communities in Israel and the United States, if it's between my teaching in Virginia and my life in New York, if it's between my family and my art practice, I feel like I'm always between. And in a way, I feel that that's a very diasporic identity. Both deeply connected and deeply rooted in these different communities, in these different places, but also to always feel between them. There's no one place that I would say, this place, this location encapsulates the entirety of me. And I think dance is able to do that because it's an abstract form. You don't name it, you enact it, and people read what they will into it.
This has been Tobaron Waxman for JTA News in New York.